Welcome back. What is this, MMA calculator?
I think it did Attic MMA.
Oh, MMA Attic. Get in our attic.
Welcome back. We're here to bring you the results from this past week's PFL, Bellator, and UFC cards. With 3 cards, there's a lot to cover, so let's jump right in. We'll kick it off with PFL Week 5 prelims, where we didn't start off so hot. We went 0 for 4 on predictions, losing out on all 3 of the wagers that we had placed here. All 3 of these were underdog bets, so it was only a 3-unit hit, but we are going to need some good luck on the main card to turn this one around. Fortunately, our main card results were more in line with our previous PFL experience. We hit 5 of 6 on predictions, and with Polizzi cashing as a plus 275 underdog, we were able to keep our PFL profit streak alive. The next card that we're going to cover is Bellator Champion Series Dublin. Between the time that we made our wagers and released our predictions video, we had already seen 1 bet was canceled, and that continued with 2 more dropped bets before the event had even kicked off. This left us with only 2 predictions on the prelims. Both of those were correct. Unfortunately, we had not placed a bet on either of them. The main card for Bellator also looked good for us, correctly picking 3 out of 4 fights, all of which we had placed bets on. For those of you who watched our best bets video for this card, you will know that we introduced what we're calling the 0.2 rule for book favorites. As a little update, we'd like to look at how that strategy played out this week. This card was the only one where this rule applied, and it offered us 3 additional betting opportunities. Kasimov, Noveni Jr., and Blenkow would not have qualified for bets prior to this week. Of those 3, we cashed on 2 of them, and our profit was an additional 0.65 units. With a promising first week, we will continue using this strategy and see if we can refine it in the future. Moving on to UFC Fight Night Saudi Arabia, where we started out with only 2 of 4 fights correctly predicted. It is worse than it seems at first glance, because the 2 that we bet on were predicted incorrectly. With a bad start to the card, we moved on to the main card, hoping for the best. As the card played out live, our hopes were slowly crushed. We were wrong on 3 out of 4 predictions, and the only fight the model got correct, we didn't put any money on. After 2 bad weeks in a row with the UFC, we are a bit concerned that there is a data issue that needs to be addressed. We can tell you that the model has already produced numbers and bets have been placed for this week, but we will be combing through that data to be sure that it is correct. Now that we've seen how the predictions compared to the actual results, let's look into the numbers. Starting off with PFL 5, the model made 10 predictions and was correct on half of them. From those, we were able to identify 5 profitable opportunities, 2 of which we cashed. Our 1 book favorite and 1 of the 4 underdogs paid. We had 5.3 units of risk on this card, and 2 wins returned 6.05 units. We ended Friday with 0.75 units of profit, which was a win of 14%. The results on Bellator are even more impressive. Only 6 of our original predictions made it to Fight Night, and we were correct on 5 of those. We placed a bet on the 1 loser, but had 3 other winners to back it up. Our 1 miss was on Noveni Jr., who only got picked up because of the new 0.2 rule. Our only underdog bet did cash, though. Kura Magomedov was our last surviving wager of the weekend, and it was nice to end on a win. After all of the cancellations, our total risk on Bellator ended up at 4.8 units. Our 3 winners returned 6.85 units, and we ended up with a 42% profit of 2.05 units. We can be excited about the results of the Bellator card now, but at the time, UFC was also live. Here we were only correct on 3 of 8 predictions, and we cashed 0 out of 5 bets. This is a very disappointing result and brought a substantial loss. Returning nothing on a 6.35 unit risk really crushed what was otherwise a great week. This card alone put us more than 3 units in the hole for the week. Let's throw this in with our past results and see where we stand. Our all-time predictions took a small hit, bringing us down to 64% with 121 out of 189 correct. As our wagers continue to hold below 50% at 44 out of 98, we are starting to consider that betting all model favorites may pan out to be a better long-term strategy. The UFC really did a number on favorites this weekend, dropping us below 80%, and we didn't see much movement on underdogs, still consistently around 35%. Finally, looking into the money, we have seen a big dip recently. We just capped 100 units wagered and are only seeing a profit slightly over 1%. This is exclusively due to the last 2 UFC cards, which have both performed terribly. This is not a sustainable edge, and if it weren't for the PFL and Bellator being profitable every week, we would be negative. It is possible that this can all be accounted for by variance, but we simply do not have enough cards under our belt to be sure. We will continue to press forward as always, and we are still adding historical information on a weekly basis and collecting new data points for future implementation. We have run the numbers and are currently working on videos for PFL Week 6 and UFC 303, so tune in for those later this week. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.